All right, so I am now inside of this brand new 2022 Nissan Armada SL Edition. This is the midnight package. Basically, well, not everything, but about 95% of everything is blacked out on the outside, a little bit of trim. Let's see, wireless charging is right here. I'm not a big fan of, tossing your phone in a pocket like this. It would be really nice if they made something that still gave you kind of visual access to your phone. And I only say this because I think there's a very small percentage of people that actually have wireless charging that use it only because it's blocked by, some type of a pocket or door. People still want to be able to at least glance at their device, even if they're not messing with it in their hand. And I know a lot of the systems allow you to see the information on the screen, but again, I think sometimes it's more inconvenient than it's worth. That's why I never use it. Anyways, we're going to take off. We got to run some errands today, or at least I got to run some errands today. We're going to give you my driving evaluation of this vehicle. And there's something making a slight rattling noise in the back. I'm not sure what it is. It might be the license plate. It's crazy. The limited amount of driving I've already done in this have just demonstrated how well dampened this vehicle is on the inside. It's so isolated. It's such a quiet, good feeling. Ever since Nissan kind of took over that Infinity platform with the Armada, it really has jumped and really skyrocketed leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the competition in terms of overall ride quality and the experience that you have, because you don't feel like you're in a Nissan. Or let me correct that. You don't feel like you're in your traditional Nissan. You feel like you're in something special. You feel like you're in a luxury vehicle. If you were picked up from the airport by an Uber or something, and they had this vehicle and none of the badges were exposed, you would instantly think you're in something like an Infinity, because again, this is really all based off of that same platform. All that being said, this vehicle is just absolutely wonderful to drive. It does, it has a little bit of oversteer in my opinion. It has a bit of body roll. It has pretty much all the characteristics that you're going to be used to in ultra luxury vehicles, because the suspension is generally dialed into more of a smooth, plush, floating, comfortable feel. My wife's Expedition has a similar feel to it, but the difference is it doesn't feel this nice. It doesn't feel this luxurious. It doesn't have as much dampening to it. It sounds a bit hollower, even though it still has a really substantial feel. This is just on a different level. And I would probably say this is more on par with Lincoln, even though Lincoln, of course, is the premium Ford brand. The Navigator is certainly, a Expedition-based vehicle. The difference with it is it's a far more expensive vehicle. They use richer materials on the inside, things like that. And that's typically how you would say the Infiniti QX80 is to the Nissan Armada. But you don't feel that way with this, because they are pretty much the same vehicle. There's not a heck of a lot of difference in terms of sitting inside of here and feeling something that's dramatically different between the two vehicles in terms of ride quality. Now, the Infiniti is going to have a slightly, more souped up version of this engine, but this thing doesn't lack any power at all, and the throttle is pretty sensitive, so you can accidentally get on this thing quicker than you think, and like I said, it just picks up speed really fast. And it's just a testament to the fact that they went with a great platform for the Armada. Now, when you compare this to just about any other vehicle in Nissan's fleet, it truly stands out as the premier vehicle. You can hop inside of a Nissan Frontier or a Nissan Titan or even Maximas or any of those vehicles, and even though the Maximas and some of their luxury vehicles certainly have more of that luxury appeal to them than most of the vehicles, I don't think they're at that same level of the Armada. The Armada just has a whole different level of ride comfort, ride handling, comfort in general. And, they've just done a great job with it. It's continuously been evolving. It's a vehicle that has all the bells and whistles you're looking for. I think the only one that I don't really care for on here is the relatively low resolution surround camera and backup camera. I feel that's an area that Nissan kind of pioneered, and they fell way behind the pack in terms of keeping up with what the other companies are doing. You hop into almost any other brand these days, and the cameras just seem like you're looking at a high definition screen. the resolution is really crisp and clear. You see a lot of different angles. You see them very, very clear. And that's kind of the message I'm trying to deliver here, is that everything is really clear. It seems as if you're working with a vehicle that's very modern. Whereas everything about the interior of the Armada is top-notch. It's beautiful. It really stands out. The navigation screen, the actual screen that the cameras are on, is actually beautiful. It really stands out. Just the resolution of the cameras themselves leave a lot to be desired. And so much so that I would venture to say that if technology in a vehicle is something you look for, and you look at this vehicle and then test drive several others, you're seriously going to see that screen as a drawback. You'll see how large the screen is when you get in the vehicle, and it's going to look really nice. But then when it turns onto its camera modes, you're just going to be kind of left wondering why they missed it there. They have the technology, it's already in place. Just jump to either a better camera or a better integration with the screen. I really don't know where it's lacking. But aside from that, you know, I think I mentioned in my walk around video that the seats are absolutely fantastic. They just look really plain. And when I mean they look really plain, they look really, really plain. This is an area that I also think they could have improved. It certainly does not look as high-end or premium as I feel most people would want it to in a vehicle like this. Even if they put the Nissan logo, or, you know, the Armada logo, or just something on the seat to really make it stand out, that alone would have definitely helped. But yeah, the seats look plain, but they are insanely comfortable. So as plain as they are, they're super comfortable, they're super plush, they got a lot of great support, the bolstering's good, it's a soft leather, it's a supple leather, everything's really nice. And that's the same with the dash and all the other areas. The stitching, everything is really nice. You don't really find many hard plastics, and if you do, they're just in small little areas between where they've either vinyl wrapped it or leather wrapped it. The interior is nice for a feature that is not necessarily a feature, and it's nice because I've hit the sun at different angles, and it doesn't create any type of strange glare that either blinds me or prevents me from seeing something that's important. And I can't say that about a lot of vehicles. You know, my wife's Expedition, for instance, had this chrome strip right above the glove box, and anytime you would hit that right angle, the sun would just blind you. And it was really annoying. So annoying that I actually put a piece of vinyl wrap over it so it wouldn't be in my eyes all the time. What they've done here is it's kind of a flat gunmetal or a brushed style aluminum as opposed to a bright chrome. So you still have a trim there. It looks really nice. You just don't have to worry about it reflecting sun and blinding you. Again, this vehicle is just so quiet. And what's also nice about it is the fact that you have a nice sounding V8 hum as well. So you're not just left with a vehicle that's too quiet. It still gives you a really good V8 rumble when you take off, and I think people expect that, especially when you're paying as much as you pay for luxury SUVs. You want to know that it's got some power, it's got some get up and go, and it's nice that Nissan has retained a big gas V8 to still give you that type of power you're looking for. The suspension on this thing is so soft. I mean, it's not too soft. It's not as soft as perhaps like a Ram. To me, it kind of feels in between a Ram and maybe like a Denali, the two vehicles, the new Ram Limited and a Denali. It has kind of that perfect feeling response when you go over bumps or expansion joints or things like that. So I can certainly appreciate that. And you know, my reviews, they're driving reviews, they're everyday usage reviews. I don't think people are going to get in this thing and try to go off-roading with it for the most part. I think for the most part, people will use this to bring their family to the store, to go to church, to go on a long trip, things like that. And I think that that's what most people want to know about, you know, how this performs and how it rides. So whenever you see my driving reviews, it's always going to be based around normal everyday driving, or going on a trip, or using it in a way that I think most families would use their vehicles. And I think that that's really important because, you know, if I'm only showing you off-roading, or if I only show you going over certain types of conditions that it's very unlikely you would go over, well, then I'm not realistically representing the vehicle in a way that you're going to use it. Anyways, I'm going to run into H-E-B, which is just a huge grocery store chain here in Texas, pick up some things, and I'll be back. Hang tight. Okay, so that was hectic. Very, very packed store today. It all fit in the back, lowered the third row. I love the space that this thing has. It's very reminiscent of my wife's Expedition or even the new Jeep Grand Wagoneer. You get a lot of space. The only downside to this one is because it's not their most premium package, you don't get the electric folding third row. And like I pointed out in the walk-around video, it's not that big of a deal when you're folding the seats down. It just is a little bit more difficult if you're folding them up. Now, the saving grace of all this is the fact that if you are folding them up, you're likely folding them up because you want to fit 2 people in the third row, which means you can simply have them push the backs of the seat up whenever you're ready for them to get into the back, since they have to crawl through the space behind the second row. So, you know, it's not that bad of a downfall. It's just an issue if you want to raise them up while you don't have anybody who's using the third row or somebody who's just going to reach back there. Again, not that big of a deal. But when they're down, you sure as heck get a lot of space, and that's really nice. This is just a great SUV in terms of size, space, comfort, height off the road. I'm sitting almost as high as this F-250 that I'm right next to, and this is a 4-wheel drive truck next to me. And you know, it doesn't feel as if you're in a small little SUV like the one that's directly in front of me. That actually probably qualifies as a crossover. But it's a pretty substantial size SUV, especially when you look how large and wide the center console is. They've done a lot of really good things here. And what I like about it is you are really going to be paying probably the equivalent of a high-spec mid-size SUV. I mean, shoot, you can get Ford Explorers and Jeep Grand Cherokees and some of those vehicles upwards in the high 50s, low 60s, whereas as equipped, this thing has just about every feature you might be interested in, and it's in the mid-60s, which is a relative bargain, you know, these days in terms of full-size SUVs. I mean, my wife's SUV was $74,000, I believe, and that was back in 2019 before prices kind of skyrocketed. So, you know, that's going to be the nice thing. Now, in terms of availability, you know, how you're going to be able to, you know, walk into a Nissan dealership and get one of these, I have no idea. I don't know if they're going to have these on the lot. I don't know if they're going to have them in the showroom or if you have to order them. I would suspect that they may have one or two, but it might not be in the configuration of the color or with the feature package you're looking for, so you may want to order one. And oftentimes when you do that, you get the best deal on it. You're just going to have to wait the longer period of time to get it. So, you know, you might have to wait 3 to 4 months possibly, or if they can locate one, just a couple of weeks. That being said, you know, it's certainly a nice SUV, and it's one that if you have a family of 7 or 8, or you just need an SUV that has that potential to carry more people. Maybe you're the carpool and you take your friends' kids to school, or, you know, you go on long trips and you just want that extra space. The Armada should absolutely be on your list. If you're looking at Tahoes, if you're looking at Yukons, if you're looking at Expeditions or the Grand Wagoneer, or just the regular Wagoneer, you know, this vehicle should absolutely be on your list of vehicles to look at. Sorry, I should have said the Sequoia in there as well. And when you compare this to what else is out there, I would say that you're likely to get more for your dollar with the Armada than a lot of the other vehicles. And that kind of holds true with almost all Nissans. They are sort of in a pricing class by themselves because they really have good pricing on their vehicles, and you get a lot for what you pay, especially in terms of technology. I do think they could improve things like the resolution on the screen and maybe a few little things here and there, but for the most part, you know, it's not lacking anything that I feel I really need. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to have this for a while longer, so I'll be able to give you a longer driving impression. Hopefully we can take it out on a long trip and really let it stretch its leg so I can give you more of a longer road trip review on what it's like. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.